got your massive calendar the other day.
Great, fantastic.
Right.
That's our whole year.
I saw that.
Yes.
I
We
said,
try to be thorough.
I see. Said plenty of work for me to do.
It's been a
What's your
process.
schedule look like Thursday or Friday?
But God,
I've got some stuff I want to
Good
discuss
will
with
for
you.
us.
Next like the
64 my sister coming out on the 23rd, so we're
Okay,
gonna
we'll
try
talk
to do
about
something.
that.
Yes.
So Monday I'm free, I'm sorry, Thursday I'm free in the morning.
Mark, she
Hi,
did.
how you doing? Good to see you. I'm free that morning.
It's not the same.
Thursday and then after 3 o'clock Thursday. And then whatever the date that you
I
said.
got you. I like to.
And then, oh, Friday I'll be out.
Choose which one of those times you want to see me. I'll be there for you. I'm gonna send you an email already drafted.
Okay,
And I'll
so,
send you an email later.
okay, sounds great.
How you feeling? Good to see you.
Yes, no, Yes, nice to
Commissioner
meet you.
Chester Dobson, this is Dr. Nixon, our,
Director of Neighborhood and Community Services.
yes.
Yes, and I've sent you some communication, so I was just trying to help you put a face with the communication. So respond to it.
Don't wait on it.
Don't wait.
on it.
I work for the city, the Director of Department of Neighborhood and Community Services at the City Hall, and you can drop by anytime and talk with me.
Okay.
Yes, on the second floor,
On the second.
on the second floor.
Sure we do.
All right. Like, what's his name, Lamar on the fifth floor.
Hey Joyce, I was trying to log into the security video on this computer in here. Did you set up the meeting or
Yes.
Have you heard from Kilgore this morning?
I have not.
Is he en route?
Let me ask,
Possibly running a few minutes behind?
I'm not, heard from him.
Yeah, I never received it, but that's fine. If you set up the meeting, all I need to do is sign into your Zoom account on computer and we should be able to start the meeting.
We'll just give him a few more minutes.
There he is.
Well, there's the man.
Okay.
Welcome.
Good morning.
Morning.
Okay. I should be able to start the meeting, and I'll let you know that.
Commissioner Kilgore, we were just talking about you, but I'll tell you after the meeting what we were saying.
I'll leave so y'all can.
Does appear to be better.
I like the hat.
Well, thank you. My,
That's the Bulldogs of Alabama.
this is, hold on,
You got the
not
wrong
Alabama.
Alabama.
This is Atlanta Braves.
Oh, that's an, okay, we good.
My Bulldogs hat's on the way.
I bet those ordering sites were busy Monday night.
Oh, wow.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Officer,
Just give him a few minutes. While he's,
I see the picture, so I think he's,
I'm just waiting for them to connect in.
oh, okay.
It's set up, it's ready to go. We're just waiting for our
And Officer Wright is not gonna be here this morning.
okay, that was my next question. Do we know if the gentleman is,
He hasn't signed in yet.
Not yet. Just interesting.
Chairman, did you get my stuff?
First question is, do you ever sleep?
No. Sometimes the commissioner's crazy.
I saw it, I was up at 4 and I saw that it was at 3:26 when it come over and I go, at least I had a few hours sleep.
You know, funny story, back when I was on speaking terms with the governor, which I'm not anymore, but, I would send him text messages. And finally, he, called me about 7 in the morning and said, look, if you have something you think I need to see, send it email. Don't send text message at 3 o'clock in the morning. Wakes me up, because his phone goes off when the text message comes through.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm tired of you waking me up at 3 o'clock.
At 3 o'clock in the morning. But yes, I did have, well, briefly, I did see it and I just looked at it, but
When the red stuff was there.
yeah, we'll discuss more. Mr. Strickland, I do have a phone number for the gentleman, just in case. Do you mind calling it and seeing if he's aware that he's available?
Okay.
And let me see if I can read my own chicken scratch here. Area code 617 949 1196. And the gentleman's name is Diego. Last name is Luque, spelled Luque.
Your call has been forwarded to an automated voice messaging system.
I don't know how much.
Is not available. At the tone, please record your message. When you finish recording, you may hang up or press 1 for more
Yeah,
options.
just let him know that we're.
To leave a callback number, press 5.
I know that we're, so commissioners,
Hi, this is Angie Strickland with the Brunswick Housing Authority. I was calling you because we are set up for our board meeting and had sent a Zoom request, so I didn't know if you were having issues. If you could give me a call back at this number, 912-266-4904. Thank you. Have a great day. Bye.
thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Board members, I know, Ms. Strickland has informed us that, Officer Wright will not be here, and we're apparently waiting on the Zoom meeting for the, NACA representative, so if it's your pleasure, we'll begin and we'll just postpone the, representative from NACA presentation, until that occurs, and or somewhere at the end, if that doesn't happen, we'll just kind of go through the information that we sent out. Is that okay with the board?
Yes.
Action.
Okay.
This police report looks similar to the previous one.
Okay, so I officially now call this meeting to order, the Brunswick Housing Authority regular meeting scheduled for January 12th, 2022. Let's have a moment of silence, and then we will be led in prayer by Commissioner Dickerson. I know we got a preacher in the house now. That's your job now.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Good morning.
Morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
We'll go ahead and begin our moment of silence, and then followed by the prayer.
Our Father God, we thank you for this time and this season that we are on. Lord, we thank you for this commission and this great leadership and body of the Housing Authority for the city of Brunswick, Georgia. We thank you for what we are here to accomplish on today, to discuss business that will ultimately be a blessing to our community as we connect with the nation. So, Father God, I continue to speak and pray that we have the spirit of love, unity, and healing in this great body of great individuals. I bless the leadership, I bless the staff, and even our residents. God, we thank you for what you're going to do and all the commanded blessings that's going to come our way. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Amen.
Good morning.
Yes.
Okay, we'll take a moment to recognize some of our visitors this morning. We'll start with We'll start with Mayor Johnson, newly elected Mayor Johnson. Would you like to stand and
No, I
speak a few
appreciate
words
y'all.
for us?
I'm just here as a bystander to listen and learn. I thank all of you all for your service, and I look forward to being a part of the process. So thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you for
And
coming.
welcome.
Welcome. We also have Dr. Nixon, our community
Director of Neighborhood and Community Services,
Amen.
City of Brunswick.
title. And we also have Miss Naomi Atkinson, the
City clerk.
city clerk.
Hello, everyone. I know most everyone.
Behind that mask, I didn't know who that was.
Oh, yeah, I'm maxed up.
Okay, I keep hearing it chime, but I'm not certain if anything's.
This saying something about restart or whatever.
While we're trying to get that accomplished, of course, let's go ahead and move into old business, which is the approval of the minutes of the regular meeting held on December 8th, 2021. Has board or commissioners had an opportunity to review those?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
I'll entertain a motion.
I move that we approve the minutes as drafted by staff.
I second that motion.
I have a motion by Commissioner Kilgore to approve the minutes as adopted by staff and seconded by Commissioner Dickerson. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, have the same. Motion passes unanimously. Moving on, we have approval of the December 2020 financial reports.
Should say 2021, I hope.
Yeah, it says 2020 in the thing.
That's right, you did send the new agenda.
I didn't bring the 2020 with me.
You can do 2020 from recollection, we'll be impressed.
No, financially, it was another uneventful month. I mean, we're staying close to budget on most items. If you have any questions, I'll answer. When I was going through it, I did notice that because we are not fully leased up in Section 8, our admin fee revenue that is based on leasing is under budget. But that's to be expected when we're not fully leased up, and we do have plenty of reserves to make up for that, so we're okay. And it will turn around when we do lease up, so. Mm-hmm.
And in the in public housing, our residents that
Receivables?
receivables
Mhm.
and such and so forth, I knew we were at somewhere around the 6-figure mark.
Yes, we still
we
are.
still
Mhm.
at that point?
Yes.
Okay, we still have a number of the people working through the programs to satisfy their debt requirements.
Yes, ask Jamie.
We don't have a difference from our previous meetings. So same amount of people that are still compliant, people that have gone into payment agreements or arrangements with us are continuing to be compliant. We still have quite a few newly, some that have surfaced. And it's just unfortunate, it's policy violations, not reporting. When we do annuals, we find they've been working for 6 months and we have to follow the process. So some of those things are newer, but they're not nearly as many as there were 5 months ago, you know? So, I mean, you're gonna always have some of those stragglers, but everybody's kind of staying on top of it, trying to work with our residents as much as possible to keep them in their units, but still get their accounts taken care of at the same time. So just trying to work with them, do everything we can to keep them housed and keep us being able to function.
Okay, great.
Good deal.
Commissioner Kitts, I would like to ask that, or add, I had a meeting with our great financial director and right before Christmas, and she gave me an understanding since you appointed me to the finance committee.
Yes, you and
Yeah, myself and Commissioner
Commissioner
Kilgore. She informed me and gave me a good enlightenment on the financial report, so I'm thankful for that. I would like to add that to the meeting.
Any further discussion on the financial reports, the 2022 or 2021 financial reports?
Some year.
Move that we approve the financial report as presented by staff.
I have a motion by Commissioner Kilgore to approve the financial report as presented by staff. I need a second.
Second motion.
Seconded by,
No, Ms. Dobson.
seconded by Commissioner Dobson.
I like that.
Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
All right.
Aye.
Opposed, have the same. Motion passes unanimously. We move on to Executive Director's items, new business.
Okay, good morning, everyone. The first item is the HUD BASH vouchers. Last month, we reported that we were approved to apply, and we have since this month gotten approval on our application. So we actually have the 5 vouchers now. We contacted the Veterans Affairs Office in Dublin, and Honey Spar with the well, we met with her because she works with a lot of veterans and things too. So we've let them know these vouchers are available. I believe we're working with one person now who is actually on the HUD BASH program in another city. And since you can do portability with a voucher, they're trying to move here. And if they do find something here, then we're gonna absorb them, and that will be one of our vouchers.
Just for clarity, portability, can you explain
Okay,
what that is?
the Section 8 program, once you're issued a voucher, after living in your home state where you receive the voucher for a year, you can port to anywhere in the United States.
Okay.
So we have one person that's porting here. Do you remember where they're from? It's
Starts with
okay.
an H. Starts with an H.
But
Helena, Montana.
No, they're in Georgia. They're in a small town in North Georgia. So, but she's trying to port down in this direction.
So Miss, the voucher can be used in any state?
yes,
Yeah.
That's,
as long as they have a housing authority in that city
In that
to
city.
administer the voucher.
that's good.
Yes.
Yes, I like that.
Oh, and we got a notice yesterday of our funding for the VASH
Yes.
vouchers.
Yes.
So I think if I remember right, it was 48,000 roughly. If I remember right,
yeah,
somewhere in
something
that
like that,
range.
yeah.
I could be off a little bit. I look at numbers all day.
Yeah.
They all look the same.
So is it back active, the program back active now?
The
Section
HUD
8?
The what?
Section 8 is back active now?
But the waiting list is closed right now. We opened it in December.
On the 10th.
Yes, so we are processing all those applications that we took, and then, we'll open it again once we get those processed and everybody's certified.
Okay.
Yeah.
I know it had been closed for a while, but
Yeah, and I can go ahead and discuss number 2 while we're talking about Section 8.
May I?
So,
Sure.
let me say this one thing about the HUD BASH vouchers.
That's okay, go ahead.
Yeah, I am so pleased that we have finally got that here in public housing or for
Amen.
Section 8 for veterans. You know, I'm a
Amen.
champion for veterans.
Yes,
I'm a vet, so it's a great milestone to reach.
yes it is.
It will be. So how is that 48, so the 48,000 is the total amount funding for it? So it's broken down among, how does that work, those 5 vouchers?
It's broken down per voucher, so they allot so much money per voucher, so it's kind of broken up and, you know, it doesn't get disseminated unless you have somebody using that voucher,
Yes.
you know, and then, so it's broken down per voucher, you pretty much take the total allotment and then you just divide by the 5.
And they still have to go take the assessment test through Dublin in order to
Yes.
get into the
Yes.
program.
They have to be
and get here.
referred to us by
Yeah.
Dublin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But
Good
if we
job.
can get
Thank
these
you.
5 filled, hopefully they'll give us some more and we can continue to,
I will promote it.
absolutely.
Okay. Thank you.
Commissioner Kilgore, you had it.
Query, explain to those of us who are older and short of comprehension, what's the referred by Dublin part to the program?
Because to qualify for the HUD BASH vouchers,
Right, right.
you have to be receiving wraparound services from the Veterans Administration. Like, we can house, if someone is a veteran and they don't need any other services, they just want a voucher, we can give them a voucher all day long, a regular voucher. But the HUD BASH vouchers are specific to people who need wraparound services and extra care.
Right.
So they have to be receiving that from Dublin because we don't have that expertise. So we have to partner with them. They receive the care from Dublin and they receive the housing from us.
Okay. I agree with Commissioner Bailey that it's an awfully good thing. However, if the vouchers are unused, it doesn't benefit anyone. So what are we doing in terms of notifying the social service agencies and making sure the word gets out so that we do ultimately have the capability of benefiting the other 4 people?
Well, our first step was we reached out to Dublin to make sure that they knew we had these vouchers.
Right.
Then we've met with Honey's Far From the Well because she works with veterans to let her know. And then Jamie is going to go to the office that's in the,
Yes, there's a VA
Veterans
office,
office,
yeah,
yeah,
so they're in the voter
right.
registration
Yeah.
building,
Mhm.
yes, absolutely, so we're gonna, I have
And
plans to go over
Wright
there
Culpepper
tomorrow.
and
yeah. Yeah. And we talked about doing an advertisement in the newspaper, and I don't know if it's made it to our website
It
yet.
is, it's on the
It is.
website, it's on the
Okay.
website as well.
Great.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Absolutely.
So did y'all hire a HUD VAS representative as staff here yet?
No, it's not,
They
we
won't,
don't.
we won't, we don't, I don't believe that it's
Yeah.
our
No, it's
responsibility
not.
to hire the VASH representative. I think that's on the
But I thought they
VA.
were.
Yeah, it's on the
I'm
VA
not sure how
side.
they work out for how their representative is.
I was told that it would open jobs here to have somebody here that would help filter.
And it may just be in our Brunswick area.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
But locally, we can handle the voucher with our current staff.
I was gonna have some questions, but Commissioner Kilgore asked all my questions. Great minds think alike.
I'll try to do better from now on.
I appreciate it.
Okay?
Any further questions on the HUD VASH vouchers? Okay.
When the next item is the housing choice voucher payment standard. You had asked about the waiting list and it being, we opened it in December, but we did get HUD approval last month also to increase the payment standard to the 120%. So that will help our voucher holders to be able to find housing, because now, we have several shoppers that are having issues finding landlords.
And that's the raise it up to the 120%?
Correct.
Okay, great. Some statistical information I was reviewing. Approximately how many vouchers in recent history are returned on a monthly basis that come back because they're not able to find it or anything of that nature?
I don't know these numbers off the top of my head.
Just
Do you?
off-
We probably have, well, So part of the admin plan says that, you know, you can extend how long it takes for them to find it. We can make that observation that we don't have to say, okay, here's your 120 days, you're done, we're not gonna extend you anymore. We can reserve the right to extend folks if they're actively looking and they can't find something because the rent ceiling is so high and their voucher only covers so much. So it really depends, you know, it's like this, it's like a wave, you know, one month you've got where nobody can find a 1-bedroom, and then the next month nobody can find 3 bedrooms. So it really depends on how many people you have at that time looking for that size of a unit, you know. I'm not gonna lie to you, it's significant. I mean, the ladies are bogged down with people panicking because they can't find anything. So we got notification that 127, I believe it was, cities, we got a list saying that they recognized that these were all the issues that had an influx or a rapid incline in the rental market, and that it was affecting voucher recipients. And so they gave us the option, hey, if you fill out X, Y, and Z, we will go ahead and allow you to raise this standard for the year of 2022. And so we filled out the documentation, and almost immediately, I mean, it changed things overnight. I mean, the ladies have been so busy with moving people in, because now there's not a huge, you know, window there, but now, at least now they're able to go to places in town that they normally would be able to retain their voucher or go to for a home that they were finding they couldn't because this rents were jumping, you know, $450 literally overnight. So now these folks are able to get leases signed. Now their voucher covers a larger difference, and so we're able to fill a lot of those now and take some of those shoppers down.
Now, my question is, where are the people on Section 8 moving to? Because the rental for 1 bedroom, and you want a decent place to live, starts at $1,100.
Yes.
So where are most of the Section 8 people with these vouchers? What type of property are they moving into and renting?
Well, it's a good question. So if somebody who's not a voucher recipient goes into a renting unit and it's $1,100 for a 1-bedroom, I mean, that's what it is. They're not gonna work with you. So if we have a voucher recipient that's going to a local community that has the availability, but it's too high, sometimes they'll contact us and we can work with them and say, hey, look, they do have a voucher, this is what it is, but we can't go above this. It's not gonna cover, and we can't set this tenant up for failure so they can't afford, you know, their utilities or groceries next month, you know? So a lot of times some of the local apartment communities will work with us and say, okay, we can bring it down to this. So I don't see that they do that for outside, you know, folks who are not voucher recipients, but they do work with our HCD specialists to get that rent to a communicable mark where they can afford it.
So now,
We're exploring other housing options too, like we had a landlord that we're working with now that's trying to do the shared housing, where you have a common bedroom or common kitchen area and living area and stuff, but a private bedroom. So, bless you.
yes, thank you.
So that will open up some other possibilities too with private
Thank you.
rentals.
So my other question is, I don't know if it changed over the years, but I know before it was on the person itself who was getting the Section 8 voucher to go out there and find some place to live.
Yes.
So is there a listing, because less people are accepting Section 8?
Yes, we
So
Yes.
We have a landlord.
they're getting some places less than where they want to live in order to accommodate this voucher.
We furnish everybody with a landlord list when they get their voucher, and it's current landlords that we have on the program.
I have one question, Ms. Strickland. Is the voucher limited? How many vouchers are we talking about?
What do you mean limited? The total
number
number
of
we
vouchers.
have?
Yeah,
We have 750.
so those people first come, serve base?
When we open our waiting list, we take applications. The applications are processed based on date and time, and then they can move up and down on the list based on preferences, because we
Right.
try to,
So those are the qualifications
mm-hmm,
to get a voucher.
yes.
So after 750 vouchers is, used up, where do you go from there?
We close the waiting list and we can't issue anymore.
District two.
HUD gives us 750.
So that means some people will be left out,
Mhm.
750 people. Is that the people here in Glenn County, the 750 applications?
No, they come from all over the
Yeah.
place. When the window opens, it opens to everybody in the United States.
Oh, so it's universal,
Yes,
750.
But the
Now, a
vouchers are only
preference-
used in Lynn County, right?
that's correct, for the
Yes.
first year.
For the first year, but then they can take them and go
So
to,
when is this going into effect,
where's when it's going in effect?
the voucher system?
The 120%?
Yes,
It already
It already
has.
it's already?
Mhm.
Okay.
So, I have one more question, I think. We already have a waiting list for the vouchers, right?
Mhm.
And then periodically you open it, like you just did in December.
Right.
So, I've heard some people tell me they've been on the waiting list for 3 years. So, how do they get moved up and it keep opening, but some people are not moving in? So how do you rotate it for the people that's been on the waiting list?
I can
to
answer
go?
that.
Okay.
Okay, so every 6 months, we purge the waiting list, okay?
Mhm.
Cause a lot of people will go on there and apply,
Mhm.
but when you send them the information or the actual application, and even if they return that, you say, okay, we need these supporting documents so we can get your voucher, you don't hear from them again, or
Okay.
they change their address. So when we purge, we send out a notice to the address we have on file for them, and then that allows us, if we don't get a response back within the 14 days, then we go ahead and we withdraw them off the waiting list. It's always a significant amount of people that don't respond, unfortunately, and that get withdrawn. Maybe they might have found housing somewhere else. I mean, there could be a numerous amount of circumstances behind why they fall off, but those people come off, so it allows the other people to move up. There are people that have a preference that do move up before the folks that don't have a preference, unfortunately. And those are people that may be a VAWA applicant. It might be there's a locality preference, so if you apply for a Section 8 voucher and you currently live here, that is considered a preference. There's a homeless preference.
What was the acronym you just used?
VAWA.
VAWA.
I was gonna say, can you explain a
Oh,
little
sorry,
bit?
it's a victim of domestic violence.
Hmm.
Okay.
So what's the limit on the bedrooms? Is it up to 2 to qualify for house?
You can
Because
get
I
a-
live in one. I'm just basically, that is not considered Section 8. That's
Right.
just considered straight housing.
Right,
That's
that's
public
public
Okay,
housing.
so,
Yeah.
so you said if a single person, they don't qualify for Section 8?
Sure
No,
they
they
would.
Yeah, they do.
Sure they
Yeah.
would.
Just depends on what
But
size
you
bedroom
can't
they
get a
need.
2-bedroom if it's just you. You can only
Correct.
get a
But
1-bedroom.
you do have ones available, what I'm saying.
A
Yeah,
voucher size, we don't have specific vouchers to bedroom size. We have 750 vouchers and we give it to the family based on what they need. That
So-
voucher's not tied to a bedroom size.
So basically, this targeting a family with kids.
No.
No.
Anybody.
If
It can be
if
anybody.
we have a list, okay, and it has all these names of all these folks on it. Doesn't matter if you're applying for a 1-bedroom, 2-bedroom, 5-bedroom. If your family size qualifies for X amount of bedrooms, that's what size your voucher is going to be.
And you would accommodate 1 bedroom.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
But listen, isn't it the corner, if you live in public housing, you can't transition to Section 8?
You can,
You can.
but you don't have a preference, so it's gonna take you a long time. We're gonna help everyone else before we help you because we're already helping you.
You already have a home and a
Yeah.
place to live where
Yeah.
these folks don't.
Because my understanding, I thought before when I asked that question, you said if you live in public housing, you couldn't transition and get a Section 8 voucher.
That was my understanding.
No, you definitely can, you just won't have a preference, you
Yeah.
know? And so when you don't have a preference, what happens is, and it's unfortunate, but it's the way the process works, you have people that don't have a preference, sure, they qualify for that voucher, but then you have this many people above you that do have a preference, that
Yeah.
might not maybe have a home, might be a victim of violence or something
So
like
they
that,
become
that we
first
have to house.
priorities.
Yeah, it's,
Yeah.
exactly, they become the priority, so we have to make sure we take care of them before somebody who's already taken care of, you
Yeah,
know? But you definitely can, yes,
Oh, because that's not what I heard before.
you definitely can.
I heard it wasn't a choice. Okay, it is. Okay,
Ms. Jamie,
That's a good bit of clarity. That's a good bit of clarity.
yeah,
Absolutely.
because,
And Mr. Doms, your voucher doesn't pay, if you have a five, if you're qualified for a 5-bedroom, okay? Your voucher doesn't just pay for a portion that's that 1 bedroom, okay? The voucher is attached to what the payment standard is for that size
yeah.
home. And so that's the number that your voucher is based off of.
So you basically talking, more bedrooms than
If
particular
you,
one?
if you qualify for it.
Quality.
So if you have a 1-bedroom, but you have, documentation from a physician that says you need another room for like medical equipment or services or things like that, or if you have a live-in aid, then you can qualify for that 2nd bedroom and that voucher, but you just have to have documentation to prove the need.
Okay,
Ms. Jamie, my
If I may,
question,
I understand
I'm
now.
sorry. Go ahead.
my quick question, the way you explain the process for all individuals on the waiting list, is that accurately explained to them from the beginning?
Yes, sir.
Okay, 'cause that can eliminate what people are saying, oh, I've been on a waiting list for 3 years. So that's accurately explained to them, right?
Yeah, when we issue a voucher, it's a HUD requirement that the recipient has to go through a briefing. And in that briefing, which lasts an hour, 45 minutes to an hour,
Yeah.
we go over all the program rules.
Every
and-
single line.
Yes.
but the one thing I'm stunned about is, cause for years, I was told that if you lived in public housing, you couldn't transition to Section 8.
That's not true.
Now, yeah,
We just
Just
don't
to
have a
put a,
preference.
close the loop,
Yeah.
Commissioner Dodson, there is no targeting in terms of bedrooms. The only targeting is for those people that have preference, because of the domestic violence, whatever, but, the bedrooms are not a part of the formula.
They're not part of the formula and they're not part of the funding either, because what happens is HUD gives you one big pot. And you have no way of knowing if you're gonna get 500 applicants who all want 1-bedrooms or 500 applicants who all want 5 bedrooms.
Right.
And so you really have to watch yourself, because it's easy to get in trouble, because if you're spending a lot of your money on, the people who come in and apply and get vouchers and get leased up, and all of a sudden they're in the bigger units, and you can get in the position where you can't issue as many vouchers because you simply don't have the funding for that year.
So you have to look at the numbers, 750 and the funding. It's just, yeah.
And
Balance
the
it out.
verifications have to be exact to qualify for that.
The verification.
Yeah, for family size.
Yes,
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 it's the
yeah.
same across the
Blah,
board.
blah,
Yes,
blah.
yes.
I'm sure you guys have a formula
We
that you work
do.
out to determine, essentially how many of the 3 versus 2 versus 1. There's some kind of formula that goes in to assist you with, figuring out how much of that pot is essentially can go toward the
Yeah.
different levels.
We have to submit a what they call a 2-year tool to HUD every month that looks at the numbers and where you're at.
Excellent.
I got a better understanding now. How it
Good.
works. I never knew it worked like that, cause I was basically, believing, Ms. Bailey was saying, cause I lived in housing almost 22 years, and I was always told that I cannot get a section.
that's right. So a lot of
That's-
tenants,
That's why I was more concerned on how this system is working here.
because, I spoke to a lot of tenants that may want to move into Section 8, but they think that they can't
I can't
transition.
They can, but it's not that easy.
It's not
I
that easy.
understand.
Yeah,
I
because
understand
we
that.
have
It just takes a lot of time,
Yeah.
Right.
unfortunately, because we always have a lot of applicants that have unfortunate circumstances and the preferences apply, and so it's just a long wait, unfortunately.
I got a better understanding now. Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I'd like to, in this part of the in this part with, I'm happy that we were able to get the 120%. I did have my doubts, of course, but I'm very happy that we were able to get the 120%. And we'll move on to the next topic of discussion, which is setting the date for the public hearing for the agency plan.
Yes, which is exactly that. It's the time we're starting to put that together now, and we have, set the date if the board approves for March 30th, 2022 at 3 p.m.
So, agency plan.
Yes.
I know, I hear the title, so is that basically what you wanna do within this year from February on down? What is that about?
It's the, HUD requires us to do an agency plan every year, and it deals with the capital funds, it deals with any policy, changes that we do in our admin or ACOP, any new programs we're gonna put into place, there's a template that you have to fill out, and they ask you these questions, are you working on this, are you gonna do this, and it has to go, we have to do it in consultation with our residents, so we'll have meetings with the residents, we'll meet with staff to go over capital funds, issues that they're having on the properties that we need to put some money towards fixing. And we'll put all this together, we'll present it to the board, we'll have a public hearing, get public input, and then we submit it to HUD once we get board approval, all the approvals, and go through the whole process.
So this is my next question. We talked about people coming in here to have programs. And we're supposed to, you all are supposed to be doing an MOU?
Yes.
Prior to this, because Pastor Woods and Pastor Brown won't be in here, Dr. Brown won't be in here soon for the summer program. So in order, so we won't go through what we went through last year, are we gonna see a streamline of what the requirements are gonna be prior to? Because we have to get together and choose which program we're going to accept.
Right, we've started working on that, we have a timeline, our goal is to have, to put out the MOU in the next couple months, have a meeting, a work session in April to let the board make the selection, hear presentations, and then we'll have the numbers of what we're gonna do, what programs we're gonna implement to give to Sharon. The budget doesn't really have an effect on the agency plan. So that's two separate
Right.
issues. But we do have the timeline set up and everything ready to go on that in the next couple months to start that process.
Okay.
Now, the MOU template is what we worked on last year. It's been reviewed out through the board council. Been reviewed out by the lawyer, correct?
Yes, and it doesn't have to, the MOU part doesn't have to have board approval. It just gathers information for the people to come and submit the documentation, and then the board would approve.
Right, I understand, but
Okay.
the format, the
Yes,
request that you send out is something that we've already reviewed.
we've expanded it, but yes,
Yeah.
yes.
So, because I know we mentioned last year, the only reason why I asked that, because I believe you said that we want these programs in here so we can put it into the budget.
Correct.
And they have a deadline that they have to submit this information.
Correct.
Okay,
Yes.
all right.
So I need to get board approval on the date, if that date works with, because the chairman will have to open the public session, public hearing, and then the staff will take over and do the presentation. So we have to want to get board approval on the dates.
I move to approve the March 30th, 2022, 3 p.m. Designation for the public hearing for the agency plan.
Got a motion by Commissioner Kilgore to approve the March 30th, 2022, 3 p.m. public hearing for the agency plan. Any second?
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Dickerson. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those have the same. Motion passes unanimously.
Okay, the next item is increase IT budget to cover some upgrades that we're looking at. I want to introduce everyone to Bradley Skipper. He's our IT department, and we have been working on updating a lot of things and kind of moving the housing authority forward and how we handle internal procedures and documents and stuff. So Bradley's going to go over what he's working on, and then we'll have an ask from the board.
Well, currently what we've got going on, sorry, did you have a question?
Oh, sorry, I thought you motioned to make a question. What we've got currently going on is upgrades to our upfront kiosk. We've already started the purchase procedure for the new kiosk. Currently, it exists as simply people sign in and it puts them on a waiting list to speak to the upfront representative. Our upgraded kiosk will allow users to come in, submit documents, put in more information than just signing into a waiting list. That's the bare bones basic explanation. We're going to be making some changes to our website, rebranding effectively. On the website, new features will be available. We'll have a new calendar module, which will allow us to put a full year's schedule of events rather than just upcoming events that we have thought out. We'll be able to allow users to sign up for newsletters, SMS notifications, so they can receive texts for events, updates, things like that. On top of that, we've also got forms. The website will allow us to create customized forms. People can go on, submit recertifications, updated information from their phones, from their computers, whatever they have. That we're not forcing them to do that. That is an option that they have just available to them. We're also going to have, let me think, what was it called specifically? I have a sheet here of the package that we're going to be going with. And with that comes news module. That kind of ties into the calendar module a little bit. Any community updates, any warnings, notifications, whatever we feel that the community needs to know about, we can publish that to the website and have it up within minutes. And we can advertise it through the notifications via text or email module that we have included as well.
So, I have a question.
Yes.
So, like the after-school summer program,
Mm-hmm.
will people be able to upload their programs or pictures to that program to show the residents that participated or the children that participated in that program?
I'll need more information specifically about that program, but the infrastructure is there for that to happen through the forms builder.
Okay.
And in terms of the website, that's pretty much all that I have. We've got references from Tifton Housing Authority, Decatur Housing Authority, Albany Housing Authority. They've all used the company, which is Brooks Jeffrey, to revise their websites, and they've got, I've taken a personal look at the Tifton Housing Authority's website, and it looks fantastic. We also are able to, in terms of, a lot of people, whenever they sign up for newsletters, whenever you go to a website and you put in your email address, you'll get spammed with hundreds of emails from that particular website. We're able to granularly control which notifications get sent to which people on a semi-personalized basis. So you don't have to worry about, oh, this tenant didn't receive a notification because their spam filters caught it or something like that. We can tune it to where they are able to see exactly what they want to see, not stuff that just comes in and they don't care about. And that's pretty much it for the website. Does anybody have any additional questions?
I don't have any questions, but I would like to add, by me being a businessman, I personally love branding. And I believe this upgrade, by having this IT specialist with our website, is really going to give us great production. So I would like to add that to our consideration this month.
And this company they work a lot with housing authorities, and their initial meeting is gonna be talking with us and learning about our local area, what our vision is for the housing authority, and they implement all this stuff, and then they give us ideas of what our logo should look like, what our colors should look like, and things like that. So it's gonna be really awesome.
And I would like to add one more thing as well. It's not implemented currently, but it will be implemented in the future, or it has at least the opportunity to be implemented into the future, is an online payment system. So tenants can go online, they can choose to go online and submit their payments virtually through a card, a bank account, whatever they choose, instead of coming into the office to do it. We will have to, of course, update our policies to reflect that, but that infrastructure will be put in place.
Yeah, And like Commissioner Dickinson said, one of the things that I wanna see is when we partnership with local programs and things like that, instead of sending the pictures through us for someone to submit it and put it online, you know how you go on the website and you can upload those pictures to that? I wanna be able to, them to do that, yeah, okay, sounds good.
Okay, that pretty much covers the website.
Excuse me, I'm sorry,
Yeah.
just one question. Within the website, you mentioned that they'll have the ability to fill out their forms and such and so forth. Will that be directly or fully integrated directly into our databases so that information is automatically there?
That information can tie into my next proposal, which is great question.
Great segue.
Great segue. Yeah. The next software that we want to get implemented is digital documentation. Take the several file rooms that we have here in the Housing Authority and consolidate them entirely online. Trina has been speaking with our previous IT director over the course of, I think it was like a year and a half or something like that, working out the fine details and getting it, and he was ready to pull the trigger on it when he was replaced by me. So I've gotten in touch with Trino at that point, and we decided to basically pick up where he left off. They briefed me on a very generous demonstration on the software itself, and it's comprehensive, it's intuitive, it's easy to use, and most importantly, once we get the actual minutia of moving in the documents to the digital documentation, we can move forward with either a hybrid paperless paper system or go entirely paperless.
They have a choice.
Yeah, we can choose. I feel that it would be best to go a hybrid of paper and paperless, at least until we get used to the new system, then transition fully to paperless.
Yeah, because if the system, sometimes that paperless, but as far as bills and receipts, I'm sure the tenants don't want it all to be paperless, because there's always to have that paper trail in case that computer goes down.
Right, yeah, of course.
It's
We will
good to
have.
see the website coming to the 21st century.
Oh, yeah.
When is this, do you have a deadline or a beginning date or an end date or?
We're gonna start this afternoon if the board.
Right. Well, we're gonna begin the process this afternoon.
You didn't start already? Okay.
Well, he's got bag stuff going.
Yeah.
Within
Okay.
the, I'm assuming that if we were to eventually get to some sort of just paperless all the way, we'll have a main database and then there'll be some sort of storage or mirroring site where we back up our information to. At some point, I'd like to see the variation of our current paper system with the storage that we have of documents versus that paperless system, and what the difference on our financial model would be if there were some cost savings.
There will be data redundancy. Online, the Trino software is entirely online based, but on their back end, they have data redundancy in place, parity and mirroring. I believe that's what he told me, parity and mirroring. So if data becomes corrupted, it can be rebuilt through a parity array. If data gets deleted entirely, it can be restored through that mirrored array.
Good job.
And I can go over the more fine details over how the Trino system works. I've kind of written a very rough diagram on the back of my packet here for how we'll actually get the data into the cloud. They have what are called, I can't remember the specific term they use, but they're the equivalent of barcodes on data sheets. You slip in the data sheets to tell it which cabinet it'll go to on the server, and then you can slip in a second data sheet to tell it which cabinet or which folder in the cabinet it will go to. So there's tenant information, and you can just slip those in however you needed the data organized on a hierarchical level. And those sheets can be reused to put them into other ones. So if somebody comes in with paper documents, we just find their sheet, put it in, scan it in, and then it goes to the cloud and is stored where it needs to be appropriately.
Well, that saves on labor.
Oh, I'm on the
Right.
website.
That's, labor cost is another thing. I read somewhere in the statistics, something like 30% of time in any given day is just searching for documents.
Yes.
The online indexing is per user level. You can change the view to tune it however you want to physically look. Data indexes is defined by the owner of the software, me. And we can define out any kind of indexing that we want. So if we want to search for a specific tenant's name, then we want to search for what unit they're in, then we want to search for their social, whatever kind of information we want this system to index by, we can tune it to search that way. There are individual folder permissions as well. So for example, if somebody in public housing does not need to look at files from Section 8, we can segregate the two.
All right, now. Like that.
for a certain dollar amount?
Kind of.
I guess we'll get a
'Cause I need to-
presentation when it gets together. I
Yes.
guess we'll get a present when it gets together. Okay, that sounds good.
And the rough cost, the software company that we're going with, Trino, their initial investment asks for just under $10,000, $98.88 total, with annual renewal fees of $35.88. Brooks Jeffrey, they require an initial investment of $19,070. That is including the promotional balances that we got from them. We won a couple of drawings. And $48.95 annual renewal fee plus $1,200 for the their enhanced hosting package. I'm not quite sure what that entails, but that's what's listed on the bill.
Hold on,
Yes.
question.
Mhm.
So for any reason, if you decide to leave and someone else comes in, it will be something left behind to educate them on how to operate this system?
For sure, it's all been documented.
Okay.
Brooks Jeffrey also offers lifetime support for as long as you're paying for their software. So if for whatever reason,
Money will do it.
if for whatever reason I'm not available or if I'm not here anymore, unfortunately, then whoever steps in, if I don't leave any documentation behind, they'll be able to contact Brooks Jeffrey and get the same demonstration that I will be given.
Good, good. All
You'll
right.
have manuals and documentation.
Of course, yeah, it's all readily available. All you have to do is either go to the website or just download what I already have downloaded.
I'm not accustomed to approving blanket purchase orders. Is there a reason why we didn't get the numbers?
The numbers I just
I heard you, but why didn't we get the numbers that we're approving?
I'm not quite. I'm sorry. I don't quite understand what you're asking.
Well, the item says
How
increase
much
the
money do
IT
you
budget.
want?
and
Oh,
we're not
why
told
wasn't
what
that?
the
Yeah.
amount is.
I didn't write out the agenda. That's not the numbers not actually on the agenda.
He's good, he's good.
That's like the actual dollar
Basically,
amount.
part of this is in the current budget, cause Brian had put part of it in last year's budget, the kiosk, I believe. But what Bradley's stop me if I'm wrong, what Bradley's looking at is over and above what Brian was looking at, and then the website is a total addition, that's why he's asking for money. We just need a total, but part of this is already in the budget, it's just that this is going.
And asking for an
Right.
increase to the IT budget, which you need to increase by,
Right, exactly.
how
For
much?
example, the kiosk, Brian underestimated in his yearly budget. The digital documentation he overestimated by a few thousand, but the kiosk was really more than we expected. The website was entirely new. That was something that he hadn't even factored into the budget whatsoever. That's essentially because normally I would be able to squeeze this in if the website wasn't as high as we thought it would be, but we have to increase the budget to accommodate mostly just the website. We're able to accommodate Trina as it is.
I understand
How
all
much
of that. What
do you
I
need
wanna
to
know
increase the
is
budget
why, if you're getting internal approvals for what you're proposing, why don't we have that same information?
The total amount that we're looking to increase the budget by is $30,000. That will cover the additional cost of the kiosk, Trino, and the website. The reasoning as to why it's not in, for example, the board packet is,
It's fine. Our IT budget that was already approved by the board is $122,000. So we already have that money. He just needs approximately $30,000 more to be able to do all the things we wanna do.
And now you've revealed what we need to know.
I guess you wanna break down and we vote on that, on specifically
But we
what
have,
prices need.
yeah, we have the breakdown of what the board already approved, and we just need to tweak the numbers and increase it by by $30,000. So instead of $122,000 budget, it would be
$52,000.
$52,000 budget. That's what we're asking for.
In the increase in the budget, the annual renewal fees that you articulated, you've assessed that and you think that the annual fees are reasonable, and for that you get updates to the software?
Absolutely.
And do you get certain number of hours of technical support? What comes for that annual payment?
For both softwares that are largely online based, there's unlimited 24/7 technical support, automated software updates, notifications for downtime, the whole kit and caboodle, pretty much. Everything in terms of software maintenance is covered largely by that company, which is why there are annual renewal fees.
Okay.
And those annual renewal fees will be in his budget that he presents each
There's
year.
actually already a line item for there. I've
But I mean in
reshuffled-
future years.
Yeah, exactly. I reshuffled numbers a little bit to make it more just.
So you know how Microsoft comes out every year with an upgrade? With this 30,000 increase, does an upgrade come in this automatically? Or are you gonna come back in about a year or two for money for an upgrade?
He's gonna have an annual IT budget every year. And
Okay.
he's gonna look at all his annual costs, and then he's gonna look at our equipment, and because they try to keep a rotation on replacing desktops and laptops and things like that. So he'll have that, he submits every year.
Not the equipment upgrade, but the system upgrade.
Yeah, that'll be included.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, the system upgrades, for everything that I've heard from both Trino and Brooks Jeffrey, any system upgrades in the future, any software changes that they make will be included in the package that we both already paid for and for what we're continuing to pay for.
Question, and just for clarity, you keep mentioning two companies?
Software and kiosk.
One's for the kiosk and one's for the website?
The kiosk is a one-off payment. The kiosk we pay for, it comes pre-backed with a year of support, and then what we pay for is already done for.
And the website, the company for the website has already been selected, and that's who you're speaking of when you...
That's Brooks Jeffrey.
Just Brooks Jeffrey.
Brooks Jeffrey is the software company, and I apologize, I didn't make this clear, or I didn't spend enough time on it. Brooks Jeffrey is the website builder that we're using. Trino is the software company that we're using for our digital documentation.
Okay. Trina.
You'll probably remember Brooks Jeffries from the conference in Savannah. If you went to the PR and marketing segment.
That's where we got the
Not too many people there.
5,000-ish? Let's see.
Yeah, we entered a drawing and we won $5,000.
Yeah,
Which I'm
we-
sure everybody did, but.
There's a special offer. We won.
Yeah.
Yeah, we won just at about $5,500 of free website stuff from them for our drawing and a promotional balance that they have.
Okay, that sounds good.
I move that we approve the increase of the IT budget to the extent of $30,000.
Got a motion by Commissioner Kilgore to
Second.
and a second by Commissioner Dobson to improve or increase the IT budget by $30,000. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, have the same.
I was just gonna say thank you, so.
Oh, motion passes unanimously.
Yeah, staff is very excited about this, and we appreciate it.
Oh, I'm excited about it.
Yes.
I'm excited about it. I stay on that
True
website.
blessing.
It really, it's gonna make things so
A
much
lot
more
easier.
efficient.
Mhm.
Efficient and easier as well.
21st century.
Yes, yes.
Okay, and then the last item I have on my list is, write-off against accounts receivable classified as uncollectible as of December 31st, 2021.
Has everyone had an opportunity to review the write-offs?
Yes.
I'll entertain a motion.
I would like to make motion that we write off tenants accounts receivable classified as uncollectible as of December 31st, 2021.
Second that.
We have a motion by Commissioner Dickerson, seconded by Commissioner Dobson to approve the write-offs, the tenants accounts receivable write-offs for December 31st, 2021. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed have the same. Motion passes unanimously.
Are we assuming, or am I not hearing your votes?
No,
Not you, Ms. Bailey.
Hmm?
I'm not hearing an affirmative vote.
Yeah.
Aye.
No, I'm not talking about you.
Oh, okay.
I'm talking about
Yeah.
Ms. Bailey. Okay.
Mhm.
And I just checked, I haven't received the message or text or anything from the gentleman with the Zoom call.
Okay.
I have a question about the maintenance report. I sent you an email last night. Were you able to see it?
I only got part of it last night, and Christina forwarded me, the rest of it this morning. I responded, but, you had asked,
About the work order open date.
yes, that is the date that this work order is called in by the resident, and then the
Okay.
work order close date is when the work is completed.
Okay.
And we don't close the work order until the work is completed.
Right. I would like to see, I have a reason for these questions, but I would like to see a follow-up date on these, because I just wanna see in the future if there are any repetitive maintenance reports from the same place. And so if there's I know you said before that you don't do follow-ups on everything, but, because, and then I was told, that's just my personal issue. I would just like to see a follow-up date, and so we can kinda cut down or see if there's an adjustment, and see if there's like I said before, if there's a repetitive to the same repair that's done monthly, because these are kind of thick here, and I just want to see if there's a follow-up done on these things. And
Go ahead.
the other thing is, I know there's some.
Can we deal with one at a time, or do you wanna list out 2 or 3 things, or how do you wanna deal with the requests that you're making?
Can we deal with the follow-up thing first and then you come with the second, or do you want us to just literally, you're gonna let us know about 2 or 3 things and then we try to figure all those out respectively?
Well, the only thing, that's the only thing I wanna add to it. I just wanted to know what that open date was. I had a figure, but I didn't want to lean on my own understanding, so that's what I asked about it, and the close date. Because I know some things need material, and they're not get ordered right away. And my only other one is the follow-up, that's it.
And would it make sense for you to, and John, to meet with Ms. Bailey to go through what the process is and try to satisfy her concerns? Because if I understand your request, you're asking staff to add a step or a procedural task that's not customarily done is my understanding correct?
That's what I understand.
And so, why don't y'all get together and see if you can't resolve what Ms. Bailey's request is?
And the question is, how do you know it's not customarily done? We're only at one housing authority. And so my concern is, like I said, is sometimes residents approach us and tell us that they put in a call for something and it's still not fixed.
And the way I know it's not customarily done is because you've asked that question and it was responded to by staff, that it's not done.
Well,
Let me, if I may interject. And I just wanna get clarity on this. The follow-up, and I understand the point that, the understanding of Commissioner Kilgore and Ms. Strickland. But when you were going through that process and of explaining, you mentioned units and going back to the same unit. Are you saying you want the follow-up to be like a survey from the resident, or are you looking for
No.
the number of repairs to a particular
No,
unit?
I want the follow-up from the person who did the repair.
When they submit the work as having been completed, it's done.
And
But is it a permanent fix or is it a temporary fix? Or is the residents gonna have a reason to come back some months later and say it's broke again? That's my point. I brought this to the board before.
And I understand that, and we
And
have the
so-
same discussion at that time that we're having today, and that is that staff has its set procedures. And if I understand you correctly, you're asking staff to do something that they don't ordinarily do. And so what I'm suggesting is that you meet with staff, you learn exactly what they are doing, and see if you're satisfied with that.
Now, but whoever prints this out, I can have that conversation with them, but whoever prints that out, how much harder is it gonna be just to add a column and a subtitle that says follow-up date? I mean, you know,
There's no follow-up date.
Yeah, there is no follow-up date, and this is a computer generated report. We didn't add any of these columns. The software company, this is a report from them. And the work order is not completed till it's completed. So if they need parts or they, are waiting on whatever to happen, a repair person or whatever, that work order is open until it's done.
There is a QC process.
Yes.
It's not for every single work order, because the maintenance guys are so busy that I don't know that they would physically have enough time in the day to go back and double check every work order that they've completed. But there is a QC process in place, where it is randomly generated, where they do see, okay, these are all the work orders that were completed. Say there's 15, and they're gonna go through and randomly select so many of those work orders and go back and double check just to make sure that quality standard is still there. Are things going to break? Absolutely, I do know, and I hope John's okay with me speaking, but I mean, there is a process to check to make sure that we're handling everything to the best of our abilities, when they do go there, to the unit.
so, if you don't mind me asking,
Go ahead.
Madam Vice Chair,
Yes.
the quality control process that she's speaking of, would that be satisfactory to your demands?
sure.
Okay, and that simply would, again, be meeting with, potentially Mr. Gallego and or Ms. Strickland to walk through that process, to explain that process to you, and see how that process is handled.
If quality control,
Because that essentially is the follow-up.
Right, and
It's
it's just
random.
on
It's random. It's not on every single one.
Exactly.
yeah.
Okay, fantastic.
Yeah.
Any other questions about the work orders and such and so forth?
No, I'll see what happens in the future, because like I said, this is kinda deep and the finance for it is kinda high, and I just wanna see that it's not a repeat. If someone had a bad toilet and they go and repair it, and then a couple of months later, the same situation comes. I just wanna see, was it permanently fixed, temporary fix, or what, if it's good.
Well, let me weigh in on it. I'm a resident of housing.
Mm-hmm,
I've had these situations come up with my toilets.
mm-hmm,
I think they did an outstanding job. You come, you repair them,
mm-hmm.
you still have that existing problem, call the main office, call it site manager,
Mhm.
they follow up.
Mhm.
They get the job done. I can vouch for that. But being that we've had the COVID come around, it's not a norm no more. Situations are not norms no more. Like fast, get things done on a normal basis. Because I know the staff stay busy, and then you got mandates going in and out of apartments.
Mhm.
We got to weigh in a lot of things that have changed. And we're talking in norms, but we're still dealing with a situation. So I understand you guys are working real hard to try to get to people when you can. Now, get back to me. Personally, I have never had any problems with maintenance because they're trying to do the best they can and fix the problem. Sometimes they have to order parts, but they, to my knowledge, I've never had any problem with them coming out to take care of situations like that. Okay, for the follow-ups, that's your right to have that follow-up. If the problem still exists, most of the time, the maintenance people are on time with that also. I'm talking out of experience as being a resident. You're not a resident, so probably you hear what we discuss here, if things get done there, but I'm just speaking to try to reassure you to help you through this process, but your question that you're asking, by basically saying that I'm on the battlefield there myself.
Right, but you're only one individual.
Right, I'm just one, I can only speak for
And
me.
you may not get, and other people may not get the same as you get. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I understand,
I'm just,
understand that,
right.
but that's hypothetical for us,
Mhm.
trying to assume who's getting done, treated, at a proper time and another person is not. I can only speak of, the dedication that the maintenance people have in housing authority. They
And I-
do assess the problem. Now, for follow-ups and stuff like that, it might weigh differently for individuals, based on what the problem is, based on several things. We just can't pinpoint one particular thing why this was delayed, that was delayed. But I'm assuming that when problems arise, it's because of this COVID. It's been slow. I'll give you an example, pest control. We used to have pest control on a rapid base. You noticed it. But when the COVID hit, the process slowed down. So we accumulate a bigger problem that had to be rectified all over again. And now it's got to be addressed because the damage occurred. And most people were living not too clean in the first place. So that caused burdens on other tenants. So now, by you not getting properly addressed with that situation, it escalates. I think it's about maybe 6% under control right now. It's getting there.
Yeah, and we have pest control scheduled for
Right.
a couple weeks from now.
Tuesday,
And
notices are going
I
out.
like the idea that you were doing it on a rapid basis now. And I can understand the shutdown period because of the COVID, because we always scared to go in anybody's apartments. So we have to sometimes live with things that we can't do nothing about, but we can rectify things that we can address. And this situation have to be addressed. That's a must.
Right.
This is opposed from material stuff to harmful stuff now. You know, animals carry diseases. We do not want that. We do not want an
Absolutely.
epidemic over there. So
Absolutely.
that was gonna be one of the things that I wanted to bring up today about pest control. I think we still have Ms. Martha, right?
Yes,
She's good.
yes.
I can vouch for Ms. Martha.
Miss Martha has
She's
it.
thorough.
She's a gift. Exterminating
thorough.
is her gift.
I
I
swear,
swear, it is
she's one
her
of the best.
gift.
Now,
Let
a lot
me,
of,
hang on, Commissioner.
Oh, sorry.
So on the subject of the work orders
Yeah,
and the quality control,
Yeah.
you are satisfied there
yeah.
with, and you'll get with Ms.
I
Strickland.
can't say
And you'll get with Ms. Strickland and Mr. Gallego potentially to see how that process works for your further understanding.
Yeah, I'm satisfied with going forward with quality control. But
Okay.
I can't be satisfied until I understand the process.
You're needing to understand,
Yeah.
and they will be able to give you
Yeah.
more understanding of the process.
Yeah, because you
For the
did
board
mention you
members.
had reasons for asking what you were asking, and we would love to explore those reasons and understand them and then attack it from that angle.
Yeah, that sounds great. Okay, we're into the commissioner's items. Does any other commissioner have any items they wanna discuss today? Yes, sir.
Mr. Chicken, I wanna ask you about the newsletter we got recently for considered resident council. Where we going with that? Partnership, I think that me and Chairman Bailey were on that committee.
We are.
So, where are we at? On the newsletter, I read it, but we still haven't got to getting together and trying to come together on this. So where, in your point of view, where we on this, that you're offering in a newsletter, based on a newsletter?
But it still has to be initiated by the residents, so we're just giving the residents information, okay, if you're interested in doing this, this is how you begin the process, and we'll work with you any way we can. And Linda is starting her resident workshops and resident meetings again this month, so
Okay.
she's discussing it in there as well, but the residents will have to come forward and say, okay, I want to do this.
Okay, I discussed that with Linda before. What's the best option for me as a resident to get involved in that situation?
As
Do
far
a
as,
workshop with her,
you mean as far as setting one up, or,
yeah, setting up,
or talking
actually
to
get
residents
people
about
involved?
it? Yeah, you just have to get residents involved.
So, what's the first process in that? Do I have to go through Linda, or do I have to talk to Linda and see, schedule a workshop and try to see can we come together on this?
Yes, yeah. And like I said, she's gonna start her, community meetings again. So if, the residents that attend those community meetings say, hey, we want to have a resident council in our community, then we'll work with y'all and give you the information that you need to make that happen.
Okay, and when is this going into effect?
The resident meetings?
Yeah.
She just started, she had her first one yesterday.
Yeah,
When?
that was a resident workshop, right?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, that was a resident workshop. I'll have to find out and I can let you know when.
Can you let me know?
And it should be on our website, is it? The
Okay.
resident meetings, the resident.
I want to,
I believe so. If they're not, I can add them in.
Okay,
it's time that I weigh in on it. We
okay.
had this discussion when I first started,
Mhm,
first got sworn in,
mhm,
but we never had a follow-up on it.
right.
It was just mostly talk, because like again, I say the COVID stopped a lot of things.
Yeah.
So, I just wanted to be, the board on that.
Okay, I will, this afternoon send you out a list of the scheduled
Thank you.
meetings, okay?
And I got one more other thing while I got the floor. I wanted to bring up, I missed the last meeting, I know one of the items was discussing about the badges.
Did you look?
Whoa, whoa.
We used to get a newsletter.
Am I lost?
How long did the
Just didn't see
newsletter
it.
come out?
Whoa.
Did we,
I yield. No, I didn't see it, I'll submit my condolence.
the resident
Wow.
news,
It
do you
got
have
done.
extra copies of the resident newsletter, do you know?
I had
Good
each
deal.
one of the properties, keep the extras that they had, so that way if a resident came and said they didn't have one or whatnot, they would have them available, but we can definitely get you one if you.
Yeah, we used to get them when they came out.
We'll make sure to get it to you.
Okay.
As me, I wanted to make sure that a lot of times residents will say I didn't get something, when I said, well, if you have a couple
Mhm.
extras, keep them with you in the office so they can come and grab it to you.
Mhm.
We'll make sure you get it.
Oh, I know we discussed something way back, you think we might be able to entertain this again about the stipend? Remember we brought this up before? The resident,
With the resident councils and such,
yeah,
once that gets established and all of that stuff, then that's where it will be handled, within the
Okay,
establishment of that.
Would that be back in discussion again, my board?
Once they get established and they've done, the residents have done their work in establishing, that's when
Because that, after it's established, then the council has to come up with policies and budgets and things like that.
Okay.
That's for, yeah.
Okay.
absolutely.
So basically, the resident council has not been formed because no one has stepped up.
Correct.
How many you need?
5.
So out of all of our,
5 per property.
out of all our properties, we don't have just 5 from
No.
from those property, but from that property.
5 from each
From
property.
each property, we don't have 5 that want to step in? Is it, I mean, is it being explained in a way where they can get involved?
Is it
Or-
there?
Or is it, because I don't know how many show up to the workshop, but during the workshop, is it more than 5? Is it, how many?
Yeah, the workshop is a requirement under the tenant's lease. They have to come to a workshop once a year, just so we can go over policies, what's going on in the neighborhoods, make sure they understand all the rules and regulations and annual reporting and everything they have to do. So that's a requirement.
Okay.
Then we have community meetings on our properties, and those are voluntary. Residents come and they talk about whatever they want to talk about. It's a resident meeting, so they talk about whatever's going on in the neighborhood, what some things they want to do or whatever. That's free form that they can do.
And historically, there have been resident advisory boards as opposed to the resident council. And so there has been tenant involvement,
Yeah.
in the past.
And let me,
But council is a different animal as opposed to the advisory board.
the resident advisory board is a requirement of the agency plan. You have to put your agency plan together every year in connection with the residents. So you have to have a resident advisory board to work with you on that. And that's their sole function, is to put together the agency plan. And that's an annual commitment each year. And it's voluntary, but that's their sole function, is to do the agency plan.
Okay. Well, I'll look more into it. I won't spend the time on it. Find out what the resident council is.
And that was interesting, the question you asked. You said it was 5 per unit?
5 per community.
Per community. Well, I mean, not you, I'm not sorry, per community. So how many communities we talking about, right?
6.
6 times
So we
5,
talking
30.
about
30 people. 30.
And I don't think it has to be.
I would,
We're talking about 30
before we make that, and I understand, because there's a lot of information that has been going back and forth, particularly Madam Vice Chair Bailey and Commissioner Dobson. I believe you guys have that information, and you guys are on that subcommittee. Please review that information, and then you guys can figure it out and bring it back to the board of what is necessary. That was the whole reason of the creation of that subcommittee. So you guys can talk amongst yourself, figure out what can be done, work with staff. I encourage that, and figure out what needs to be done for the resident council and all of that. You guys are.
And one thing I mentioned last year was marketing.
So
I mean,
again, with the resident council, you
and
guys
I
figure that
understand
out,
that.
put that together, we'll be, and then bring it back to the board for us to further discuss.
Okay, I could do that, but marketing is the first step, and so they have a website that they can promote that.
And it's
That
on
would
our
be
website.
so-
It's
Correct.
on our
Been on
website.
our website for a
Correct.
little while now.
Okay,
So if there's any additions to what we're currently marketing, please, with the subcommittee, you guys can, if you want additions to the marketing, working with staff and as the residents are encouraged to form their council, you guys can work that out and then come back and we can add it to the agenda items to further discuss.
Okay.
Okay?
But send me that, Ms. Strickland, the information I need. I would love to see that.
Okay.
Any other commissioners' items? Okay, other than apparently the gentleman from the NACA program, NACA with their HOFA program, which is specifically for our Section 8. I'm not gonna go much into that. I'm gonna see if he may be available for, I don't know, a different, maybe our next meeting, potentially.
Good, because this is, it's great stuff.
Yes, and
yeah.
even if, and I'll, if the board's okay, if he's, we may do a special call or something like that specifically for this program. It's, you know, via Zoom, of course, we don't necessarily have to all be here. I think we're all mostly capable of Zoom, potentially.
And I just wanna throw it out there, I know the board wants to see the presentation and everything, and that's great, but, this would not be something that would have to have board approval, because it's already in our agency plan and our admin plan to do homeownership, so as long as they meet the HUD requirements, we don't need any further approvals as staff to move forward with that.
I'm sorry.
I'm not sorry. I don't mean to, I'm not trying to cut the board out or anything, I
Right.
mean, but I'm just letting you know that this
There's
would
no-
not be something that would require our board approval.
So, and
And the material, they articulate the fact that they've complied with all the regulations, they actually list them.
Yeah, and I looked through that, cause that's the main thing we have to make sure is that they're a HUD certified housing counselor.
Yeah.
And that, I mean, that's just the main certification, because that's a requirement.
okay, so, I guess the next question would be
Adjourn.
for, just a brief discussion here for, Madam Vice Chair Lee on the marketing part. How would we inform our Section 8 recipients of the availability of this program?
We would send out a flyer or do a mailer to, because our Section 8 is so vast and it's all
Right,
over the county.
right, yes,
So
yes.
our best start would just be doing a flyer and letting them know it's available and making sure that, because Linda does the family self-sufficiency program,
Mhm.
and there's about 20 people, that's how many slots we have on that program, and she would start with them to make sure that they know if this is one of their goals, that this is out available.
But that's just communication link, where you put them in touch with these folks, they handle all the approvals. It's
Right.
not an administrative burden for you.
Right.
Right, we
So-
just.
Getting the information out there.
Getting the information out there.
And the
Yeah.
website, you can put it on the website too,
Mhm.
can't you?
Mhm.
Yes. Okay.
Okay, I don't know where to go to from there, other than,
I mean, we can just take it from here if you wanna, give him my contact information and then we can,
I'm sorry, I did that to the land bank too, so I will make sure that I thought I included all of the contact information within the information that was
and you
there.
might have it, I might have just missed it, I'll look back, but,
I'll go back through and,
Okay.
and as well and double check.
okay. And then, yeah, we can reach out to them and just work with them and see,
Super fantastic.
yeah.
And if I may,
Yes, sir.
staff could, next month, report to us the various steps you got in, you say marketing, I guess semantics not a big deal, I just talk about information.
Mhm.
And you get the word out through, these 3 steps or 5 steps or whatever, and then staff can tell us what they're doing.
Great,
Once they've had a chance to put that plan together.
great,
And update.
great.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm happy, I'm satisfied. Any other comments or concerns as far as commissioners' items are concerned? Do we have any need for legal matters or executive session?
Do you wanna,
Yeah, so,
I forgot.
that's all right. You had it on the last one and I wasn't here. So, yeah, I'd make a suggestion that we go into executive session to discuss a litigation matter and a personnel matter.
Okay, so I need a motion to adjourn to go into executive session.
I'm not moving to adjourn, but moving to go into
Moving to-
executive session.
Any second?
Second.
Got a motion by Commissioner Kilgore, seconded by Commissioner Dickerson to move into executive session.
Do I? Can I speak on something? This young lady,
Yes.
do you have something you wanna say? this is the second time she's been here. She hasn't. Can she speak?
I just, I'm, again, Sabrina Nixon, and I'm the Director of Neighborhood and Community Services for the City of Brunswick.